How's it going? That's right, you read the caption right. I took chess to the recent regionals I just played in. Didn't do so hot. Only got like 133 out of the 211 people who showed up to actually play in the event. Wasn't expecting much with decks like Imperial and Ancient Guru run rampant, these days. Which happens to be all the rounds I played. I played 6 rounds before I dropped to go play 3v3 side events and ended up going 2-4. Playing chess against these decks that all they do is bounce stuff or bomb deck it, and that kind of defeats the point of what the deck does. The deck likes to be deleted and can't really get deleted in a matchup where they bounce or bottom deck every card you play. So it makes it difficult for chess to do its thing. But the chess deck did perform well. I did get 2 round wins, and I did win multiple games, just individual games. I even beat a buddy of mine who was playing Gabu Bond in a warm-up match beforehand. The deck works really well when you can get going. It just makes it really difficult when every match you play is against a deck that bounced everything. It would have been nice to see how it did against a deck like Mother Shoto or the 7th Grade Demon Lord deck or something like that. Or there was plenty of like War Greymon players or Shine Greymon players out there. And so it would have been nice to see how it would have fared in those matchups. But let's talk about the deck itself, right? So, like I said, we're playing chess. So we're playing 4 copies of the old white PawnChessmon, 4 copies of the old black PawnChessmon, 4 copies of the new starter deck black PawnChessmon, and 4 copies of the new starter deck white PawnChessmon. Both are great, absolutely fantastic cards. It's really nice that you have this one have an on deletion effect that works on both players' turn, significantly better than the old black PawnChessmon, the old white Chessmon, where they were specific to whose turn it was. Made it kind of rough, but this on deletion's on both turns, which makes it really nice. And so we're running 16 pawns. In the same vein as we are running 2 of the white KnightChessmon and 2 of the black KnightChessmon. That's all we're using in regards to chess. I'll explain what I filled in with later, but a good point to bring up right now is the fact that I went pure on brand with chess. A chessboard has 32 chess pieces, and I put 32 chess pieces in the deck. I put 16 pawns, 4 rooks, 4 bishops, 2 queens, 2 kings, as I'm about to 4 knights. So, like I just said, 4 bishops, 4 rooks, 2 queens, 2 kings. And that's the chess portion of our chess deck. That is what I chose to do. It was a big game of playing the fun of here's the theme, here's what we're doing. We wanted to go out, we wanted to play chess, and you can't play. I mean, you can play chess with extra pieces, because technically, when you promote your pawn, you can get a replacement piece. Some people just use the pieces that have been taken already by their opponent, and then others use the extra queen that often is given in the set when you buy a set of a chessboard. You get an extra queen for the sake of promoting your pawn to a queen. But for the sake of thematics, I wanted to make the deck 32 chess pieces, just like a board has 32 chess pieces, right? So with that means we had to find filler cards to make up for the lack of space, right? And so what we did for the level 4 slot is we put 1 Tobucatmon from the star deck. Really, this card's just there because it gets jamming. Is an extra level 4, and it gives jamming. And since this new white PawnChessmon does not have any sort of on deletion effect, it just has its on play. Once I've already burned that on play, it doesn't feel as good to let this PawnChessmon die. And so this is a nice little way to go on top of it, swing extra checks, be as jamming. You kind of get there pretty good. And it can actually come in handy to have, you know, uh, that barrier inherited if you end up digivolving up this line, even though it is a little more expensive to do it that way. So we're just doing that for that purpose. And then our other level 4 that we wanted to use was we threw in 1 copy of Kazemon to get that last minute, last check hybrid for game play going. We don't need lots of hybrids. We don't really need them in general because the goal of the game is to play a chess piece, swing the chess piece for game, and say checkmate to your opponent. So we don't really want to use the Kazemon, but it's there in case we need it to just finish out a game when we know that otherwise the game's going to go to the opponent and the opponent's going to win. And then we go to level 6. We put Cendrillmon in the deck. Cendrillmon's absolutely fantastic, particularly with white PawnChessmon, or the old white PawnChessmon to be specific. Because Cendrillmon's got Overclock. Overclock deletes a puppet and lets it attack without suspending at the end of turn, and that's not a once per turn effect. So if you can delete something and then swing Overclock and then somehow regain turn before turn actually passes to your opponent, you can do it again and rinse and repeat as many times as you can. And in this deck, because we run 4 copies of Miki and Megumi, who plays a PawnChessmon it's on play, but better yet, when you play a Digimon that's black or yellow, can be tapped or can be suspended in order to draw a card and gain a memory, you can actively digivolve into this, move the memory gauge to your opponent's side of the field, delete a white PawnChessmon, play a replacement Chessmon, tap this, gain back the memory that you put you over to the other side, and and now you have it's still your turn, so you'll get to overclock again. And so you can continue. You can possibly continue that over and over. You could do it. You can do it a minimum of 2. You can overclock a minimum of twice, right? So it's kind of a neat little extra tech for the level 6 slot to play the Cendrillmon for that reason. And obviously the 4 Miki and Megumis, because they're all turns effect that when I play a new chess piece, I get to gain memory, draw cards. That's great card advantage. Absolutely fantastic now that we have 16 pawns, because before it was really kind of bad because we didn't always have the pawn when we had to hard play Miki and Megumi, or even when it came out of security, and that made things kind of rough. But now it's really good coming out of security of things because we have so many PawnChessmons now. We also have 2 copies of the Star Deck Arisa. Deck needed a memory setter. I used to use Izzy, the old black Izzy, because you've revealed the top 3. They were all black, so you gained a memory back. So it really functionally only cost 3 to play that memory setter. But that's just not as good as my PawnChessmon getting deleted and then being able to give it rush. Absolutely fantastic. Being able to swing a white PawnChessmon or a white KnightChessmon or a BishopChessmon and it dying and then replacing itself, and for that replacement to then get rush is absolutely fantastic. So you can just keep going with the swings, and you can get 2 swings in with the white side of chess, and if both of them die, and then you can just drop a black piece or have blocker on your opponent's turn, and that's absolutely great. So, and then to round it off, we also are running 3 copies of Keenan. This card is actually kind of interesting with its on play, being able to draw you a card and gain you a memory back to make it really only feel like you're playing it for 2. And it hurts your opponent a lot if they do that, because it's a game of either they give you card advantage and memory, or they burn a piece that might be very important to them, be it a tamer they need, or an option they need. And so it makes a very vital choice for your opponent, both coming out of security and when you hard play it, which is really good. And then even better is that it, along with Miki and Megumi, make it really easy on my opponent's turn to steal back the turn by blocking with a black chess piece, or a Miki and Megumi coming out of security and then letting me play a pawn, because he lets me gain memory back on my opponent's turn when an effect plays a Digimon, and it doesn't care whose it is. So it also helps a little bit in the Imperial matchup, because their Davis and Kin that's free dropping level 3s now feels worse because it's not free, because I can suspend 1 or 2 or 3 of these, and you just potentially just gave me turn by trying to free play using that effect. So it makes Keenan really good. We're going to step back to Digimon for a second, because we haven't talked about the eggs or the level 7s. Because we were all expecting Mother Shoto to show up, and believe me, there were quite a few, though I never got to saw any in my personal matches, which I would have loved to play against a deck that actually deleted my Digimon to see how it actually fared in those matchups. But we did run 2 copies of Zwart defeat. It's kind of a little niche thing. Obviously, I only have 4 targets for Digivolve on top of in order to deal with the Shoto. But if it happened, it happened. It would have been great. But there's also the benefit of this card being a really good Digimon to have come out of security. If they check security, it's in there. Especially with Keenan in play. Because while defeat doesn't trigger Miki and Megumi, it does trigger defeat coming out of security, because it is played by an effect. And so my opponent can swing, check a defeat. The defeat goes to gets to be played to my field. I steal the turn with Keenan, and then I have a Zwart defeat to throw at their face, and that's pretty good. So it is definitely a nice card to have in conjunction with Keenan, and it's nice that it can go on top of my KingChessmon or QueenChessmon in order to deal with a troublesome tamer, if that happens to be a situation that I come across. So there's that. And then, like I said, we hadn't talked about the eggs. And we're just running 4 copies of Pagumon. I had a couple other ideas that I thought about doing, kind of get for DP purposes or something else. And then I was like, I don't care about DP, because I'm trying to get my pieces deleted. I want them to die so that I can continue. And so I just decided to stick with just the 4 Pagumon. If anyone's got a suggestion, you can like, subscribe, drop a comment below, give me an idea for another silly, goofy deck to build, and maybe I can build one that's a little better suited to play in an Ultimate Cup or a Regional, and do that. But Pagumon allows me to get an extra on deletion effect off my Digimon, so it's really good to have a turn 1 Digivolve into, actually particularly the new black PawnChessmon. To be going first, Digivolve it onto a Pagumon with this PawnChessmon for 1, put my opponent at 1, turn passes to me, I promote it, I swing it, it dies, I get a Pagumon trigger to reveal the top card. Most likely it's a black Digimon, because all the chess pieces being black Digimon. It goes to my hand. I have that additional chess piece, and then I would then trigger the on deletion of the black PawnChessmon to discard a puppet and then draw 2, which I, guess what, just put a puppet in my hand because I just put from the Pagumon trigger. So I can, if I don't need the one I revealed, I don't have to give more information to my opponent, and I can just bin that one, draw 2 cards, and rinse and repeat. And that makes it really nice with this one in particular. But in general, we want the egg to sit there and just give a little extra value to when our pawns get destroyed and get deleted. And so Pagumon just works really well for that added little bonus of help. Then for options, we're down to only like 4 slots left in the deck. And we're looking at 2 copies of Flame Hellscythe and 2 copies of Heaven's Judgment. Both of these cards are incredibly good. We've seen it happen plenty of times. We saw Flame Hellscythe be insanely good in Massmon. We've seen Heaven's Judgment good in basically every deck under the sun that wants to play it. And it's pure value here. Heaven's Judgment can go up to, can either hit 3 bodies for 6k, or it can go all the way up to 18k in this deck because I have black and yellow Digimon. So it does its 6k for itself, and then it does 2 more because I have 2 different colors of Digimon. Feels great and feels good. Flame Hellscythe, because I have Keenan, lets me play back a chess piece from the grave because it plays out a yellow Digimon, which lets me reoccur my chess pieces, be they the important ones or not, possibly kills the thing with its minus 6k, and triggers Keenan, triggers Miki and Megumi, and just keeps going and flowing. So this card coming out, so Flame Hellscythe coming out of security is really good because not only do I replay a pawn or a knight out of my trash, my Keenan triggers and my Miki and Megumi trigger, I gain a bunch of memory back on my opponent's turns over. I've got a situation where I likely had an advantage. And so it feels great. Heaven's Judgment, great card, gets up to 18k. And that's kind of the balance I went with. I only had 18 slots to play with after I had my 32 chess pieces. Maybe I swap Keenan for either an Arisa or another option. Maybe I swap it for another Cendrillmon. Who knows? If you got any ideas, like I said, comment. I'm happy to hear the feedback. But other than that, that's my pawn. And that's my pawns. That's my 04s. That's my bishop and rook. My kings with queens. That's the chess deck, boys. And like I said, it performed better than expected, considering I went up against 6 decks that don't let you use the effects of half your cards most of the time. But have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed chess.